President Trump. Now, NBC News has learned that the administration is considering publicly releasing the transcript of Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's two-day meeting last month with Epstein's accomplice and convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell. And yesterday, the DOJ requested that the grand jury exhibits, along with the transcripts in the Epstein and Maxwell cases, be unsealed. Former Congressman Mondaire Jones and Carlos Curbelo, along with Christy Greenberg, are back with us. Okay, Christy. I'm still trying to understand why are the Attorney General, the FBI Director, meeting at the White House to discuss anything. Well, yeah, just anything. And please explain to the American people why what I just told them in this intro should be alarming.
Yeah, I mean, when you're being accused of a cover-up, then you have a meeting to then deny that you're even meeting to discuss the cover-up. You're covering up the meeting to discuss the cover-up. It's problematic.
Right. And we're all watching. Come on.
It's ridiculous. I mean, look, you should not have, obviously, there should be some separation. In the past, there was separation between the Department of Justice and the White House. Obviously, that's gone. As soon as the fact that they were reviewing the file and then they found Trump's name and they ran over to the White House to go and tell him about it, I mean, that's completely alarming. I mean, under what circumstance would they think that it's inappropriate to tell the president what's going on? Like, what would have to have been in there for them to think that that was maybe the wrong thing to do? And clearly it's damaging. I mean, whatever is in there about him, whether it's criminal or not, it's clearly damaging. Otherwise, it would have been public by now.
Or he just thinks it's damaging, right? Like, there may not actually, the thing about Donald Trump is he is very good at looking guilty when maybe there's nothing there, right? When you looked at in Russia in 2016 and 2017, as they're looking in the Mueller investigation, that entire time his behavior was someone who had something to hide. The Mueller report came out and it was like, oh, he didn't talk to Vladimir Putin. He didn't talk to Russia. That didn't happen. But that was the behavior over and over. And Congressman Curbelo, I want to play aside from Trump at the White House talking about the Epstein scandal really quick and get your response on the other side.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total. Okay?
Oh, in the Oval.
Yes, yeah, in the Oval, baby. So, Congressman, you know, when you that's always what Donald Trump does, right? That exact same way curses. He says that it is them trying to stop you guys from understanding how successful I'm being, right? But it's always a tell, right? Yeah. It's always a tell of something. What does it tell you?
Look, this situation is unique for Trump because he's accustomed to getting attacks from the left. He's accustomed to being attacked by Democrats. These attacks, the discomfort is from his own base.
The calls coming from inside the House.
Supporters. It's interesting, having served in the House, for the first time, it's the hardline conservatives who are feeling the heat. Mm-hmm. The swing district members aren't too worried about this issue, which is rarely the case, right? But it's those hardline members, the most MAGA members of Congress, that are demanding this information, and they're not going to stop. And that's why they need to meet and figure this out, because they need to figure out what they're going to put out. They have to put out something. This MAGA base isn't going to be content just accepting this. Well, let's forget about this. Let's move on. People want to see something. They want to see Pam Bondi under oath, answering questions. Something has to be published, and then maybe they can pivot away from this. In the meantime, it's going to be very uncomfortable for the president.
Well, you know, Congressman Jones, you know, to Congressman Curbelo's point, something has to be published. But what the administration is trying to put out there in terms of grand jury transcripts, even DOJ said, yeah, whatever's in the transcripts is already pretty much known. And so now they're saying, well, we'll put out the exhibits. I mean, they are still trying to change a narrative that they can't change for the very reasons that you were talking about, Congressman Curbelo. But can you just talk about what do you think the administration needs to do to get this behind them?
I don't think they can do anything to get this investigation behind them because they've already gone down the path of covering this up. And so whatever is ultimately disclosed to the American people is not going to be the whole of the record. And so it's not going to be something that anyone can take seriously or view with any credibility. And so I think they just have to hope that through distraction and further obfuscation that people are going to pay attention to other things. This is the first time I've seen the base, to your point, Carlos, hold the president accountable for literally anything.
And he's been through a lot.
We all have.
He's been through a lot. We've all been through a lot. There are real victims, to your point earlier, of his conduct. You know, one of those victims is my former classmate in law school, Maureen Comey, who was fired without any discernible basis other than the fact that she is the daughter of Jim Comey and, you know, also probably has, you know, some inside information as to the details of this investigation, having put Ghislaine Maxwell behind bars successfully.
And I mean, something I think that's really interesting is they're saying, you know, we're going to release the grand jury testimony. That's what we want to see. She's in jail. He's dead. Don't nobody care about that. What they want to hear and see are there other people who are still walking around this earth free that did something. And Christy, you know, at the heart of this is something we try to always bring it back to are the survivors of this, right? And the lawyer for several of Epstein's survivors responded and said the pursuit of grand jury materials and transcripts is a useless and intentional distraction. We will learn nothing by chasing that rabbit. How important is it for people to remember that there are actual survivors here in the, you know, Epstein files that the DOJ has? I think at least 1,000 women who were girls at the time, who are women now, but girls at the time were survivors of this disgusting mess that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were doing.
Yeah, I mean, you have 1,000 victims, you have one person who's dead and another person who is convicted, sentenced to 20 years, and now is in a cushy country club prison. And, you know, if that is not such a betrayal of the victims, I don't know what is. The victims have been very clear. They testified at the trial, multiple, and said this woman is a monster. She abused us, not just Epstein. She abused us, and she allowed for him to abuse us by isolating us from our families and friends, by making us feel safe, by making us think we could be in his presence. Like, she facilitated this whole thing. Without her, he couldn't have done what he did. And so now for the number 2 at the Department of Justice to sit down with her and say, we are open to hearing from you. We are open to considering you to be a credible witness when this woman lies like she breathes. She has lied throughout the case, lied she never committed a crime. She just filed in court that she's a scapegoat for Jeffrey Epstein's crime, still denying it, not accepting responsibility, not showing any remorse to these victims. That's who the Attorney General, the DOJ number 2, decided to sit down with. And now reward for whatever dirt she gave him, which clearly she understood the assignment. She knows she's going in there to give up names, and who are the names of? Certainly not Trump or any of his allies. We're going to hear about people that are his enemies. She went in there, said that. I think that's what they're going to release. And now, unfortunately, the victims are seeing her enjoy a nice, cushy stay in prison where she can roam around the grounds and, you know, essentially feel as though she's not really being punished the way that any other sex offender would be.
Hanging out with the Real Housewife and Elizabeth Holmes. Which is wild. Also, very important to remember, Todd Blanchard, the number 2 at the DOJ, also Donald Trump's former defense attorney. Christy Greenberg, thank you so much for coming on the weekend. Former Congressman Mondaire Jones and Carlos Curbelo are sticking around. Still ahead, redistricting wars. Texas Governor Greg Abbott and other Republicans are ramping up the pressure on Democrats who fled the state in a redistricting standoff. How